the score they're given 1 if they consume, 0 if they didn't consume that specific group. Okay, let's look how to calculate this household dietary deficit. Yeah. For example, there is a household. We start asking a question to that specific household. Yeah. Have you eaten cereals within 24 hours? They say yes, we've been eating cereals. We give them 1 score. Have you eaten vegetables in 24 hours? They say yes, we give again another 1 score. Have you eaten food within 24 hours? They didn't even any type of food. We give them 0. Have you eaten meat? Well, yes, we give them 1. Have you eaten fish within 24 hours? Yes, 1. Have you eaten eggs? No, so we give them 0. So at the end we add these scores which are given to that household. So we can add total score and maybe we can get 7. So that is their score is 7. Household dietary deficit score is 7 out of 12 because there are 12 food groups. Yeah, so that is their score. They score 7 that household. So from there we go to the interpretation of this score. If a household gets scored from 0 to 3, normally this means they've got low dietary deficit. If the household score 4 to 6, they've got medium dietary deficit. And if the household scores 7 to 12, then they've got high dietary deficit. So according to our example, this household scores 7. Yeah, their score is 7 out of 12. So they under this third group, high dietary deficit. So this household is very good because they've got high dietary deficit. Yeah, so this is the high score. They got high score. That means they eat varied types of food groups. So they've got varied diet. So that's very good for them. So that is very good for that household. Yeah, that's very good for that household. So this is all about this household dietary deficit score. Do you have any question about that? Do you have any question? Is there any question or can we proceed? Hello, can you hear me?
Can we proceed?
We can proceed. Silence means yes, everything is well understood. Huh? Let's proceed if that's so. Yeah. Dietary diversity measures, nutrition status and what they consume in general. So dietary diversity index also developed as a tool to monitor how availability of variety of differences of food choices and therefore the level of consumption of that food. What food are available and who eats who. Now let's look at the dietary assessment principles. Dietary assessment principles normally is determined by adequacy, balance, variety, nutrition density, and okay, so the principle of dietary diversification normally refers to the practice of consuming wide variety of food from different food groups on a regular basis to ensure that body gets all the essential nutrients in its need. So when you are able to consume variety of food, you will not lack any nutrients because you will be able to get every type of food will give you a certain amount of nutrients. So overall, you'll be able to get small, maybe this type of nutrient from this food, another type of nutrient from other food, another type of nutrient. So at the end, you will not have a deficiency of any nutrient. Adequacy. Adequacy, this means that the diet provides enough of all essential nutrients, energy, fiber, which are needed for the body function. So adequate means enough. That is the first principle of determining dietary assessment. So the food should be adequate. Yeah, that means should provide enough of all essential nutrients needed by the body. This adequacy normally includes the food should provide all sufficient vitamins, minerals, protein, and calories needed. And also in order to prevent deficiency, if that diet provides this enough of all essential nutrients, so diet will prevent deficiencies which can cause different types of diseases. For example, if the diet is deficient in iron or low in iron, you end up getting anemia. So adequacy in a meal is, for example, you've got your meal, which contain grains, vegetables, protein, only in one meal. So this will be able to give you enough nutrients. For example, we're eating ugali, that is grain. The ugali is made from maize. Can be from unrefined, which is unrefined, that's even better. And then you are going to eat your ugali with vegetables, maybe green leaf vegetables, which is amaranth style. And then you are going to have a source of protein, maybe a little bit portion of red meat. And then you are going to have a fruit. Maybe you are going to have an orange. So all these types of different food groups which are eaten together in this one meal, these give us adequacy. It will be enough to provide all the essential nutrients needed. So this is the meaning of adequacy. Another principle is balance. I think it's not your first time to hear about balance. We talk about balanced diet. That is balance. So balance, this refers to the right proportion. That food should provide the right proportion or amount of the essential nutrients needed by the body. And we know different group of people need different amount of nutrients. That is why each group has got different recommended daily intake for that specific group. So you're not allowed to eat too much of certain types of nutrients, or too less. Because too more is harmful, excess can be toxic, and also too less can lead into deficiency of that specific type of nutrients. So everything should be balanced. So that's why there is recommended daily intake of each specific nutrient for each specific group. So we should avoid excesses, too much fat, sugar and salt, and also should ensure that nutrients complement each other. I've already given the example of eating ugali. It's the same. Balance and because it's nearly all the same. So in that you eat variety, different of food. The one give us carbohydrates, carbohydrates. Other give us protein. And other fruits give us vitamins. Vegetables give us minerals and vitamins. So you make sure the food is balanced. So even when eating, within the days, maybe during lunch, you eat orange, I've said, as fruit type. Maybe in the evening you should eat another type of fruit. Maybe bananas. So that because this also fruit give us different types of nutrients at the body. So by changing in your daily meal, this will help us to ensure that we get all amount of nutrients needed by the body in terms, in at least specific amount, rather than consuming of one type of thing. Nutrient density. What is nutrient density? What is it? Have you ever heard the word nutrient density? What is nutrient density? What is it? Any volunteer? Tell us what is nutrient density.
Nutrient density refers to how much essential nutrients a food provides.
Thank you very much. That's a good trial. A very good trial. It's not bad. Nutrient density refers to how much beneficial nutrients a food provides relative to its calorie content. So we look better to look more on other nutrients which are not beneficial rather than calorie content, which provide which provide calories. So we look more other nutrients which are very essential rather than looking at their calorie content. That is, nutrient-dense foods give you more nutrition per bite without a lot of extra calories. That is the meaning of it. For example, we've got high nutrient density foods which are very, very healthy. Can you give me the examples of high nutrient density foods which are very healthy and can provide a lot of nutrients, essential nutrients? Example?
Vegetables.
Yeah, excellent. Vegetables. Another type?
Fruits.
Yeah, fruits. Excellent. Another types?
Whole grains.
Yeah, whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes. Yeah, meat and meat products, fish and fish. We know animal proteins are very high essential proteins. Yeah, so those are high nutrient density food. Yeah, which are called normally regarded as very healthy. And what about the low nutrient density? What type of food are those? Which are less low nutrient density type of foods. What are they?
Sugary drinks like soda.
Yeah, excellent. Sugary drinks like soda, yeah, chipsy, high processed food, overall all the junky foods, all those are low nutrient density foods which are not good for their health. Yeah, so we advise people to eat more high nutrient density, yeah, in order to stay healthy than this low nutrient density, if they can afford about that. So nutrient density prefer choosing the foods which provide high amount of nutrients relative to their calorie content. Yeah, provide high amount of other nutrients, small amount of calories. That is nutrient density. Okay, now let's look at the importance of dietary diversification. Can you tell me what is the importance of dietary diversification for health? What is the importance of dietary diversification for health? Are you volunteer? Another volunteer? Tell us, there are so many importances. Please. Hey, can you please
provide all essential nutrients? For example, vitamins, minerals, and protein, carbohydrates, and fats.
Yeah, excellent. It provides, because if you eat varieties of food, then you are able to get all the nutrients, essential nutrients in right amount. Yeah, according to the recommended daily intake of that specific group. So that also prevents nutrient deficiency. That's another important. So another thing is support growth and development. Also it strengthens your immune system. Also it reduces the risk of chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases. Also it enhances appetite and food enjoyment, and also promotes better digestion. As you know that when you eat vegetables as one part of your meal, we know the importance of fiber to overall human health and overall the process of digestion. So it improves the better digestion. So there's so many importance of dietary diversity. So you need to be able to explain the importance in detail. So you mention one importance and try to explain in a detailed way. How does this really have got advantages? Yeah, as your colleague has been explaining. Yeah, so you need to reason out and be able to explain with examples. Okay, now let's proceed to food selection in dietary habits. Yeah, let's proceed to food selection in dietary habits. Yeah. Normally, the key driver of eating is, of course, hunger. When you're hungry, that's when you want to eat. And normally, this is not determined by physiological nutrition eating. Yeah. Sometimes we don't consider our physiology and nutrition needs. We just eat any types of food. So now let's look at the factors which may influence our food choices. They have been divided into different categories. They are biological determinants such as hunger, appetite, and taste. They are economical determinants such as cost, income, availability. They are physical determinants such as access, education, skills. In time, there are social determinants such as culture, family, peer, and meal patterns. There are psychological determinants which include mood, stress, and guilt. Their attitude, beliefs, and knowledge about that food. Also, this affects your food selection. When we look at biological determinants of food, we look at hunger and satiety. Physiological needs, we know that is the main and major factor of our food selection, because we need to eat in order to get the nutrients so that we can grow and body can grow and get out. But sometimes also, we don't look much on our physiological needs. But this hunger normally is associated with some physiological process in our body. We know that appetite is connected with your central nervous system. It's control and make us feel when we are hungry. We get this sign, appetite stimulation, and be able to consume food. So it's also physiologically determined. And also there is issue of satiety. There are some foods, these macronutrients, which are most satiating than others. So this can be used to determine when you want to lose weight, which types of food have got high satiety level. You can stay a longer time without feeling hungry, or which foods are less satiated. So you cannot eat those because you will be feeling hungry every time, frequently after eating, which is not good. It can cause up to increase body weight. When biological determinants, we look also at, that's why we say that when your diet consists of low energy density food, it's easy to manage body weight or not be able to gain weight. So you need to try to explain, to understand which type of food should I consume in order to control healthy body weight. Palatability also is a biological determinant. When the food is palatable, you tend to eat more. So when food is very good, you eat more and more of that food, and this is determined by sensory properties, which is smell, texture, and appearance. Fat food normally have got good sensory appeal, so people like to eat very high fat food, which is fried. Taste, smell, texture, appearance, also all those influence food palatability. Sensory aspect we know, and each sensory aspect affects the palatability and overall consumption of food differently. So it depends. Now let's go to economic and physical determinants of choice. When you talk about economic and physical determinants of food choice, we will look at cost and accessibility. Normal cost is the primary determinant of food choice. If we have got this, depending on person's income, how much money you have, you determine what type of food you're going to eat or purchase. If you've got high amount of money or high income, you'll be able to purchase variety of food which are healthy, vegetables, fruits which are very expensive. If you've got low income variety, you will not be able to get this high density foods. You end up getting low and cheap types of foods which are less nutritious. So this normally determine or depends on how much of income you have. Accessibility also affects the food choice. There is a physical availability of food. When in the shop or in the market food is available, you'll be able to purchase it, and your availability of food will make the price of that food be a little bit cheaper. When the specific food is not available, in small amount, automatically the price will go up and it will be expensive and it will not be affordable. So this depends on the geographic area, infrastructure general to bring that food to the place of buying. So all these have got effect on food choice. Education and knowledge study indicate that level of education can influence dietary behavior and choice. And can help to prevent malnutrition. So maybe if you got knowledge that specific type of food is good for health, you would go for that. If you don't have knowledge and education, you not know which food is nutritious. You just go for junky food, and you'll end up being unhealthy and be more prone to these non-communicable diseases. Influence of social class in determining food choice. We know that in a society we've got different social classes. We've got different social classes, and everyone fits in one of these social classes. So there's high, moderate, and low classes. So this also determines if you're in social classes, high social status, you'll be able, most of those people have got high income, so you'll be able to go for nutritious food which are expensive. Yeah, and if you're middle, you go for the middle. If you're low, you also go for this low type of group. So depending in which social class do you fit in, this will affect your food choice. Cultural influence, we know that we've already talked about different culture, different way of food choice, and different perception of different types of food. Some culture tend to restrict certain types of food to different people, maybe young boys or pregnant mothers, so this can end up cause their food habit, those can end up being deficient in certain types of nutrients. Social settings, majority of food is eaten at home. Social setting is the place where the food is eaten. And normally, majority of people will eating food at home, at home. Although also students can eat at school, but some other can eat at the working places. And nowadays we tend to eat away from home in restaurants and other places of our choice. So the availability of healthy foods normally at home. So when you eat at home, that's more likely to be healthy foods because you prepare yourself. The choice, you take time. Away from home can end up eating a lot of unhealthy food, processed foods, all types of food which are not very nutritious. So we try to discourage eating away from home, and if possible, eating home meal. So sorry, 1 minute. One minute. Hello? Vipi mwalimu za leo? Salama, vipi mshaondoka? Upo? Msiba? Si pole. Pole sana. Nilisharudi, pole sana. Kana saa 3 unaweza kuwezekana? Maana mimi nitakuwa na Zoom. Kina mambo mengi. Basi inshallah tukijaliwa tufanye Alhamisi saa 3 asubuhi mwalimu. Sawa, basi nitawaambia tufanye asubuhi. Kwenye group Alhamisi asubuhi. Asante, nashukuru mwalimu, pole sana. I'm sorry about that. Let's proceed. Another factor which influences the food choice is psychological factors. When do we talk about psychological factors? Normally we talk about two things. Stress, mood. Those are the major two things that psychology. So mood, we know mood. This is individual behavior. Towards something. So our food choices can be influenced by mood. So mood has got a very strong influence on our food choices. And interestingly, mood can cause someone to eat less amount of food, or mood can cause someone to overeat. So it depends. Some people eat more food, some people eat less food. So this depending. It's different from one people to another. Some people restrict eating certain types of food for particular meal because of their mood. For example, Pregnant women, we know that their mood can cause them food craving on certain types of food. Can be food origin, can be non-food origin. Yeah, and also, so different situation can cause different mood, can influence food choices. And also stress. Yeah, if we've got certain types of stress, also can lead into select specific types of foods. Yeah, depending on your mood on that period of time. So all those tools can affect your food choices. Now let's look at dietary habits. Dietary habits. Yeah, what are dietary habits? What are dietary habits? Any volunteer? What are dietary habits?
These are usual patterns and behaviors of eating.
Yeah, excellent. Dietary habits just normally refer the regular meal patterns, yeah, and behaviors. Yeah, what type of food you are eating? Yeah, how is that food eaten? That's cooking method and other things. When the food is eaten, time, and why do people eat in certain times? Yeah, that is, yeah, dietary habits. Yeah, that is dietary habits. Yeah, dietary habits refer to the regular patterns and behavior related to what, how, when, and why people eat. It includes type of food commonly consumed, meal frequency and timing, food preparation and methods, preferences and avoidance. In simple terms, we say dietary habits are routine food choices a person, a community makes over the time. So in simple, that is the meaning of dietary habits. You can get a question like this: how does dietary habits influenced by culture and taboos? So you can get a question like that: how does dietary habits influenced by culture and taboos? Yeah. So if you get a question like this, you just try to look at two sides. First, you need to explain what are dietary habits. Yeah, because if your question is about dietary habits, I'll ask you, how does dietary habits influence by culture and taboo? You need first to explain the meaning of dietary habits. So you just try to say that dietary habits, this just refer to the regular patterns of behavior related to what, how, when, and why the people eat. Or you can just say in very simple terms that the dietary habits is just routine food choices a person or community makes over time. So after explaining what is the meaning of dietary habits, then you go now try to explain that influence of culture on dietary habits first. So from there you try to talk about culture. Try to say that different people, different cultures have got different food habits. They've got different traditional food, the eating cuisine, which is passed through one generation to another generation. Those food habits in this specific culture, normally they are transferred, they are passed out through generations, from one generation to another. So cultural backgrounds normally determines types of people, foods they eat, staples, types of meal, and specific time they are eating. For example, you can give example for example, in Tanzania, our basic common meal, main meal is ugali. So this ugali normally of course is passed through one generation to another. And also this our ugali, we can look at the cooking methods we normally use. Yeah, the method of boiling water and just stirring this flour, of course, from grain. And all of ugali we can use, of course, we normally use flour from maize, which is some has been refined and some other have not been refined, and you process it in the way of we cook it. So all these we boil, we fry, or any other types of food which specific culture use the cooking method. So you give an example and try to explain that specific culture of what, how, how, when, and why of that specific culture by giving example. And also you can talk about that specific culture, about their social practices and rituals. Also that is in the culture, the foods which they are used in the ceremonies and festivals, the special dishes they prefer according to their food habits, types of foods which are avoided, restricted in that specific culture, types of foods which are more preferred, also restrictions if there are certain types of food is restricted from certain group of people, for example children, are inhibited due to certain types of food, or pregnant women according to that. By giving examples, try to explain different social practices, rituals, or different family and social learning in relation to food of that culture. So by that discussion, we'll be able to explain how does these things influence. And then we continue trying to explain the influence of taboos. And on taboos, normally we talk about restriction. This is not talking about culture. Taboos, that's where the restriction lies. Religious taboos, restriction, health-related beliefs and myths, restriction, this is under taboo. Talk about gender and age restrictions of food, all this is about under taboo, not under culture. Also symbolic culture and restriction, everything here took under taboo. So all the restriction thing is under taboo. And all the passed from one generation to another, this is under culture. So try to explain that in it. Okay, now here it is end of today's discussion, but here I've got some revision questions. I've got a few questions which I would like you to go through, which can help you during your examinations in June. So I will upload this Zoom slide so that you can be able to get these questions. There are around 10 questions, but I would like for the remaining period for us to discuss one of the questions. So I would like to discuss question number 3. How to answer this question. I'll just try to give a brief explanation of how to answer this type of question. The question number 3 says that discuss the role of cultural and traditional food habits in influencing dietary diversification. Give vivid example. This is like something which I've been discussing just now. This is the same the type of question which I've been discussing now. So you can see some other questions are more or less similar, but it will be the way you need to answer according to the way the question is asked. So let's also try to look at this type of question, how to answer this. It's more or less the one which I've just been explaining. So the question asks, discuss the role of cultural and traditional food habits in influencing dietary diversification. Give vivid examples. The other one I was talking about dietary habits, and now we are talking about, because there's traditional food habits and there is dietary diversification. As usual, when you get this type of question, you should start by telling us what is the meaning of dietary diversification. Because the whole question is about the dietary diversification. So you need to tell us what is dietary diversification, and also you need to tell us first what is cultural and traditional food habits. So you can start with the end of the two. You can say cultural and traditional food habits play a very powerful means in influencing dietary diversification. These cultural and traditional food habits can either encourage to eat wide variety of food, or they can limit or restrict certain types of food. So this is all about the link between cultural and traditional food habits to dietary diversification. So these food habits, cultural traditional food habits can either encourage wide variety of food, or they can limit or restrict eating certain types of food. All this can affect overall availability of nutrients, which can end up affect the overall healthy status of the vessel. So try to link these two by explaining the meaning each differently, and or you can combine the meaning of the two. And when you get a discussed question, you need to look at both sides. Yeah, you need to look at both sides, the advantageous side and also the disadvantageous side. So you need to discuss both sides and give examples to all those sides. So now let's look at the role of these cultural and traditional food habits in dietary diversification. You can look at the way how does culture can promote dietary diversity. Yeah, in a positive way, as I've said, I say that many traditional diets are naturally diverse and they can evolve around locally available. So normally traditional diets, they look what is available locally. And for example, in Tanzania, I say that we tend to eat staple food like ugali, we eat together with mchicha, vegetables, and protein nature. So ugali should be something to chovya, to eat with. So here we already diversified. From ugali we get carbohydrates, from vegetables we get some vitamins and minerals, and so from protein also we get some. From that's beans, fish, or meat we eat with, we get that is protein. So that is natural how can culture promote dietary diversity by using the local available, using different types of foods in specific diet meal. Yeah. So the combination of dietary diversification, make us eating different food groups in one meal. Yeah, that is one. Also, cultural restriction can limit dietary diversity, as I would say. Things like religious taboos, can cause avoiding things like pork in some other religion. So you can miss some nutrients which you might get from pork. Another cultural restriction which can limit the dietary diversity is gender-based food allocation, like men eat first or eating good part of food. For example, when you have got chicken at home, the gizzard and all the good parts is given to men, and women and children eat less, the remaining less parts, which is not very good. Another thing under cultural restriction, food beliefs during pregnancy, I've already said that, avoiding some eggs because of milk, that baby will be born without hair. So these are the example of food beliefs which can limit diversification. And also I've said for infant and child feeding practices, traditionals, in some communities, children normally are fed very thin porridge, and there is a very delayed introduction of diversity of food or weaning. They delay weaning. So this can cause difficulties for the child to get all the nutrients required to the body. And also there are some also restrict animal source food not to be given to infant and child due to some other beliefs which are negatively, which is not very good. You can look at ceremony and seasonal traditions during festival, weddings, certain types of food which are widely eaten. There are varieties of food normally displayed during those. So it is very easy to get the diversity of food during that. And everything is there in plenty, so it's very easy to get all the nutrients required. You can look at the indigenous knowledge and local foods available, wild vegetables, indigenous grains, herbal foods. All these have got some advantage to overall health. So by following that, for example, communities tend to use leaf greens like moringa. These are very nutritious, and if you use it, you tend to improve our diet. You can look at cultural change and modernization also. Food habits like urbanization, we know that our lead towards processed food and junky foods due to urbanization and globalization. Western influence is not very good. This is under cultural change and modernization. Yeah, it can affect, of course, it's dietary diversity, but it's on disadvantage part. So you can also look at this in your discussion. Yeah, so you can try to look at any part, but make sure you look at both sides. When discussing a question, you need to look at both advantage and disadvantage. Give specific examples and each way throughout your discussion. Yeah, you need to, in order to be able to explain things more clearly, it's better to give an example and try to explain the meaning of that example, link onto the influence of healthy status of individual. So this is all about this question. Yeah, if you have any question, you can ask, because we only have got only 2 minutes. Is there any question? No question. Silence means everything has been well understood. Hey, I hope so. Jamani, kila kitu kimeeleweka?
We have understood, madam.
Okay, thank you very much for today. Yeah, I will upload these slides as usual under the knowledge module 5 or knowledge area 5 in your Moodle, okay?
Yes, madam.
Yeah, and module 5 or knowledge area 5, so that you can got these revision questions and have a glance at these slides which have been discussing today. I hope everything was well explained and well understood. Yeah, okay, thank you very much for the listening and bye-bye.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you, bye.
Mano.